I'm out on a walk with Georgie, and it's an exciting morning. Here's Georgie down there. Come on, Georgie, let's go. It's an exciting morning because I just purchased a site. It's a pre-made Amazon affiliate site. I bought it from my friends over at Human Proof Designs, and this is something I've never done before. And I'm gonna tell you why I decided to do this. The cool part is this is gonna be a full-on case study, so there's gonna be a lot of updates out there. Thought I was gonna be able to record out here, but the landscapers are all over the place. So there's just like lawnmowers and things going on around here. So I'm gonna have to record this inside. So let's change locations. We're in the new location and it's a little quieter here. Now, as soon as I walked in the door, the AC kicked on and it was a little bit noisy, so I had to turn it down. So if you actually see sweat on me right now, that is real sweat. We're doing it for the sound quality. So next up, I'm gonna tell you the roughly 6 reasons why I decided to buy an Age site and what my plan is. So I hope this will be helpful for you. And like I mentioned before, I am going to be doing a full-on case study. We're going to track this over time. I won't be revealing the site. That is usually just a bad idea. And towards the end of this video, I'm going to tell you the first few things that I'm going to be doing to take over the site in the transition. And this is the sort of thing you can expect. I'll show you what I'm doing, right? I'll show you what I'm doing. So leave a comment, ask questions, whatever questions you have about how I'm going to approach this, ask it in this video. As I mentioned, I just bought the site and I'm going to be migrating it over. I got several emails I need to go through. I'm going to show you those in a second. Why am I even working on this project? Number one, I wanted to do something interesting. I wanted to work on a project that I would want to follow myself. There's been a period of time over the past, I would say off and on over the past 2 years, where I've been focusing so much on creating content or email marketing or some other piece of my business that I haven't been working on affiliate sites in a very focused way. I may give 1 to 2 weeks of effort here or there, but I haven't been putting a ton of time in and focusing. So that's number one. I wanted to work on something interesting. There's a couple reasons for why I would want to do that. Part of it is just documenting and doing interesting things so that other people will also do interesting things, maybe in my footsteps, following some of the same processes, which is kind of the idea here. Or you can take the idea and change it, put your own spin on it and do it your own way, which is even better than following exactly what I do. Number 2 is I wanted to run a project. I wanted to create a site where everything was outsourced. So I've heard of people wanting to do this. As I've met more folks interested in affiliate marketing and making money online, there are some beginners with a small amount of budget, but then there's a whole other set of people that have a large budget and maybe they don't have the specific skills or time to execute all the things that we're teaching. However, they do have the budget, so they can solve the problem by outsourcing it. Now, one of the flaws in not executing on projects that are oriented towards outsourcing, I don't know who to recommend. I get a question probably once a day. What service should I use for content? Do you know someone who can work on WordPress for me? Do you know someone who can do X, Y, or Z? And usually my answer is no. You could probably find someone at Upwork. There's so many people there. It's time consuming to hire someone from Upwork, but all the guides are out there and I'll put links for various things that could be helpful, like hiring folks from Upwork. I have templates for everything. So it's out there, but sometimes it's just easier to outsource it. And then you don't have to deal with individuals. You just deal with one project manager. So that's point number 2. I wanted to test services to see how they would do so that I could actually make good recommendations. Now, the cool part is I've been pre-testing services in a mini way so that I'm not, burning my effort on this project. So I did pre-testing in a small way for various services. So now I know who I want to work with for this project. And I'll be able to cut through all the fat here and share it with you throughout the process of documenting this case study. So third reason here is I wanted to verify my assumptions. So you may have seen, a few people may have seen a video that I did. It must be about 2 years ago at this point. And my opinion at the time was to stay away from done-for-you sites, because the quality that I was seeing from not any individual company, but the quality that I was seeing across the board wasn't great. And it was very profitable for whoever was selling it. And you could check out that video if you want. Basically, it was pretty tough for a brand new person to buy a site, and they had potentially no skills. They didn't know what they were supposed to do next. They would buy a site and think that they would be able to turn it around pretty quick and get fast results because someone has done the keyword research, someone has done work ahead of time for them. Turns out most of the time, people are lost and they're not sure what to do. They're not sure how long something is supposed to take. So anyway, my point is I generally advise most people, not everyone, but most people to stay away from done-for-you sites unless you had a specific reason. For example, if you're an experienced affiliate marketer, you know SEO, you know content, you know what you're supposed to do in a general sense, and you just want to cut out that initial part, it's a great way to shortcut certain pieces. And I think that's probably where I'm coming into play. I know the process. I've seen it executed by myself. I've seen my students execute it, and I know it works. And then moving on to point number, I think 4 at this point, Human Proof Designs has done a great job documenting people that are successful. So in a lot of ways, I know that it can be done because other people have done it, right? So they're showing case studies, people who have, they purchased an aged site, they added content, and after, a few months, they were making money. I don't have the case studies directly in my mind here, but after a certain number of months, the valuation, let's say 6 months, I'm pretty sure that's a conservative amount. Within 6 months, the person has made, they have a valuation for their site that is higher than their initial investment. So obviously that's a good ROI, right? I was looking at some of these success stories from Human Proof Designs, and I was like, all right, if they can do it and I'm gonna do a little bit more and I have my own spin and the way I want to work on things, well, it's a no-brainer that it may not be as successful as some of the other case studies. However, it should be fine, right? It's probably not going to fail completely. So the other part of it is it's not going to fail completely. So that means I'll be working on a project that's interesting to tell stories about, and I will also have an asset at the end of the day. So yes, I'm purchasing the site. Yes, I'm buying all the services. I'm not getting anything for free here. And I think that's really important. It's a stretch to say journalistic integrity, but integrity on the case study, so I can tell you my unbiased opinions on certain things because I paid for it, right? I don't owe anyone anything. I owe a lot of people a lot of things, but in this specific case, I'm buying the products and I'm using what I believe is going to work. So at the end of the day, I'm going to work on something interesting. I could tell people about it. It'll be a great example for other folks to follow, and I will have an asset so I could sell it potentially in the future. However, I generally like the cash flow situation. So it'll be great to add another piece into the cash flow from Amazon. There's no real downside. And as I mentioned before from the previous point, it's fairly unlikely that it'll be a total failure. All right. So it may not be as great as I hope. Maybe it'll be better, but there's a good chance it's not going to be a total failure. Number 6 is I haven't worked on a new site recently. I have several sites that are out there in the world. I created them a few years ago, and some of them have grown really well over time, and others I've neglected. But I haven't worked on a site that has no backlinks. Basically, in this specific case, I think the site has been around for about half a year, 6 months or so. So it's aged, right? It's aged. It has some content on there. It's ranking for a few keywords. Nothing huge. But the point is I haven't worked specifically on a brand new site So this will be an opportunity for me to, keep executing exactly what has been working for me in the past. Even though I haven't executed myself on a specific site, I have students that go through my course, and over the past year, the same strategies, the same, conservative tactics, no spamming on your site, no PBNs, just straightforward, good content, promotion, and guest posting has worked across the board. For anyone who's actually executed and stuck with it for 6 months, 100% of the time they've been successful. I haven't seen anyone who completely failed from doing that. So those are the 6 reasons, and we're gonna do a quick recap before I tell you about the few things that I'm gonna do at the very start to get this site in my possession and some of my early thoughts. So, quick recap. Number 1, I wanted to do this project because I wanted to work on something interesting and tell people about it. Number 2, I wanted to outsource basically everything that I could so that I could recommend services in a confident way and also show results. Number 3, I wanted to test my assumptions. So in the past, I thought that done-for-you sites weren't a good idea for most people, but I haven't checked it out for myself, and I haven't checked it out in a few years. So I think it's, number 1, it's perfectly normal to change your opinion on things, especially if you get new information. So I'm trying to get new information and test my assumptions because maybe my assumption from a couple years ago is completely wrong and things are different now. So I'm gonna check it out myself. Number 4, other people have worked on these age sites, made them profitable, and I think I can do the same. Number 5 is I will be building an asset in the course of this case study, so it's a good move. Potentially it'll be profitable. I hope it'll be profitable. It won't be a good story if I lost money on it, but hopefully we'll have a good asset at the end of this project. And finally, I haven't started a new site in a while, so I just wanted to, give it a shot myself, document as much as I could, and do it in an outsourced fashion. There's a few things that I need to do. Like I said, I literally just purchased the site. I quickly got an email from Human Proof Designs, actually several emails. So it's like a receipt, some onboarding material. They give you course material to follow along the process. I'm gonna go off script on a lot of that stuff just because I have an idea about what I wanna do. But some of the most important things are around getting the site from their possession into my possession. So there's a few pieces of the puzzle for that. They guide you through the whole thing, and they have a sophisticated ticketing system. It's customer service, right? So they're keeping track of it. And basically there's a person who is guiding me through this, all right? They're guiding me all the way through it. And what happens is they need a few pieces of information. So I need a place to host the site. So I'm gonna be working with SiteGround. I'll put a link for the video to sign up for SiteGround. I am an affiliate, so if you sign up, that's cool, but I get a commission, which is great. It helps me create videos like this. SiteGround's great. I have many sites there, and they have all the things that I need and very good customer service. So that's number 1. I need hosting. So I will be creating new hosting for this. Again, this is an asset, so I want to have full flexibility to sell it in an easy way, and having it on its own hosting kind of silos it off a little bit. It also protects my other sites in a minor way. Hosting is generally cheap, so I'm going to go ahead, and I'm planning on growing the site fairly significantly. So I want to have its own hosting so that it can handle the growth, and I won't have to worry about other sites on the same hosting plan and hosting server. So number 1 is hosting. Once I get that, I will share the cPanel information. That's sort of the admin panel where the customer service person can transfer the site over. So they'll just move everything over to my hosting account for me, which is great. Fairly straightforward if you know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, it could be a little tricky. The second part is around the actual domain name. So I purchased the site, and you also get, a suite of products, I guess. There's a lot of assets involved with it. So one of the assets is the domain name. So they are gonna push the domain name into my account at Namecheap. So that's the company that I use. It's generally like cheaper than most of the other companies out there, especially for renewals. You may be able to find a cheap deal for a domain name for the first year, like a 99-cent coupon from one of those really big companies. But then when you renew it, it's like way more expensive than any of the other companies out there. So they get you the first year, but they make it up the next. So look out for that. I use Namecheap. It's just consistently a good price. Like for any TLD top level domain that I've purchased, it's been a good idea. And the last thing for now that they need is my Amazon tracking ID. So I have a few Amazon tracking IDs for various sites that I have, and I will create a new one for this specific site, and that gives me visibility for, you know, how much money this specific site is earning. If I just use one tracking ID, it would be really hard for me to tell like if the site's converting well, but in this case I definitely want to use a specific tracking ID so that I know exactly how much this site is making. Obviously for the case study, it's very important. You know, the other part is, now that I'm saying it out loud, maybe it's a good idea for me to put a tracking ID, like the initial tracking ID for all the, you know, content that they have put on the initial site, the initial build, and then I can put a different tracking ID for like any of the new content I'm adding. That'll give me an idea potentially over time, right? I can't like jump to conclusions after 1 week of data, but after, you know, 6 months, a year, 18 months, I may be able to see pretty clearly like the original content was higher quality than the content that I published afterwards. You can come up with your own little ideas to test assumptions, right? And then just see it over time. Like, I don't really care initially, but it could be interesting over time. Now, I think that is about it. As far as what I need to do in the short term. They are very quick at Human Proof Designs as far as like getting back to you and working with you. It's been great so far, and I'll put links for everything in the description so you can get to it. So many of the links below are affiliate links, and I get a commission if you use them. I appreciate it if you do use those links. And throughout this project, I'll actually be sharing a way for you to get additional access and some bonuses from me on this project. So if you use my affiliate links and you're going through the same thing, I will let you know in future videos. It'll be very obvious for these specific bonuses. So check it out. But basically you'll be able to get the templates and the guides and the different, you know, materials that I'm using with each of the outsourced services. So very helpful. I mean, it's good to outsource the material, whatever work that you're going to be able to outsource, but a lot of times it's harder than just outsourcing it. Sometimes you need to give a little more information. Sometimes you need to give the writers some very specific guidelines on what you're looking for and things to do in your content and things to not do in your content. So it's really important to have like a clear guide, and that's the sort of stuff that I will be sharing as a bonus for people that use my affiliate link. So that will be forthcoming as I figure out exactly like the most valuable pieces to share, but I will be sharing the process overall. It's just some of the minutia and details. Honestly, it's a little bit boring to cover, especially in video format, but if you're actually hiring the company, you will want these guides. So that's it for this time. Please leave me a comment if you're pumped for this case study. I'm really excited myself, and I'm interested to just hear what you think.